Happy Memorial Day Part 2, YouTube. If you watch my regular channel of my construction, I just talked a little bit about what's going on and some plans that I have coming up for the house. But what I want to do right now is shift gears and talk about the orchard. In the last video, I talked about how I put up 3 strands of electric fence wire around the entire property that are now energized. And I want to show you, this is what you get when you bob off your apple tree at, a little less than knee height because of deer damage where they rubbed. You can see the top where the bark was stripped off. I have some shoots that are coming back, but I have some sort of, it's either deer again or some small ground mammal chewing the leaves off these apple trees. So I have to individually cage every one of these right now, which is my plan for this week coming. I'm hoping to do that real quick because it's terrible. These poor apple trees have had nothing but bad luck. This is the hard scrabble apple farm, if ever there was one. This one survived pretty much unscathed from last year. I had to cut the top of it off where it was chewed back really hard, but the trunk is pretty good. Some of them came just in better physical form and shape with some structural limbs on them already. You can see this one has a good open center shape if I cut the center of it out. But right now I'm letting pretty much everything live that could live to sustain the tree and help put down roots. Yeah, it's been a little rough on these poor guys. I mean, no matter what, like it's disease, pestilence, deer, you name it, it comes after these poor apple trees. And so now, I've got some that are coming back really good with some great vigor. Like that apple tree clearly wants to live, even though it was mauled by the deer last year. But I had a couple losses. I think I've got 4 throughout the orchard that are totally dead. Luckily, most of them are reasonably easy to find varieties that are not super heirloom, strange stuff that I have to order. A couple were hit harder than others. This little guy took some serious abuse. But you can see, it's got a new shoot that wants to come up and live, so even if this main trunk dies out or dies back, I think it'll be okay. I might have to cut it back harder. As you can see, this one's doing all right. It's one of the nicer antique varieties. This one I think I lost entirely. I cut it back, but nothing came of it, so that's a total loss for that one. And I don't know what it is offhand. I have to check its twin. They're all planted with twins. This is what it should look like. That tree right there is about 4.5 feet tall. And it was a mountain rose apple variety. So I have to make sure to get a mountain rose. I'll watch this video later and that'll help me order the replacement trees I need. You can see little orange spots on these leaves. That's cedar apple rust. That's because I have cedar trees everywhere around here, and even if I killed all the cedar trees on this property, it wouldn't do any good because there's cedar trees on my neighbor's property. So I have to just sort of adapt and try to spray, although this year I wasn't able to, for a variety of reasons. This tag is a pink lady, and that pink lady looks like it might be totally dead, which is unfortunate. Luckily I have a spare right here, which again, pink lady seems to be affected by the cedar apple rust. I can see it on the leaves pretty heavy already. Pardon the sniffles. When I just mowed, I got a lot of dust in my nose, so. It's an Arkansas black. Really, really pretty apple. In fact, I think it's the apple that Walt Disney based the Snow White apple on because it's so ruby red that it actually almost looks black. It's a very dark burgundy. This poor tree has seen some things. In fact, I'm going to come back later today and I'm going to cut the top of this tree right off down to where that's alive because this upper part is totally dead. It either has blight or some sort of disease that's working its way down, so I need to get that out of the orchard pretty quick. Over here, another example of somebody who got hit hard but wants to live. This one is from Trees of Antiquity, and this is a Calville Blanc, which if you know anything about cooking, this is the apple that's famous for French cooking. If you want to make an apple tart, this is literally the apple that they say you should use. Textbook recipe. I've never had one. They're supposed to be a very good apple. I think they're green if I remember correctly from reading about them. But hey, what the hell? Someday I might want to make the world's textbook apple tart recipe, and I figure I might as well have said apples to do it right. There's another Calville Blanc. At some point, if anyone's interested, put a thumbs up on this video and I'll go through and I'll actually name all the different kinds that are in here. And of course I'm going to progress these through the years as they get a little taller and a little more stout. Hopefully I can actually take you through the first fruiting and the first taste I get of all of these, because most of them I've never even tasted. They're varieties that I'm interested in from a diversity and from reading about them, but I've never actually had them because they don't ship or they're just not common anymore. Soil's a little dry, it needs to rain here. That tree is a stout tree, but it's taken some serious abuse. These poor trees, they should be twice as tall as they are now. This section did okay here towards the middle of the orchard. I would say with the exception of this guy, who I think is not going to make it after all. I had hope because I had leaves. But yeah, it looks like we're totally dead. That's a bummer. I have to check his twin, figure out what that is. And oh yeah, I think I already know because this twin also got beat. This one, as you can see, got eaten by something at the base of the tree last year. Something stripped away the bark. Luckily, these two are literally Golden Delicious, which I put here basically as filler trees. And I think Golden Delicious kind of suck, to be honest with you. They're not my favorite apple. I don't know too many people who would pick it as their favorite apple. But what I can do now is replace it with 2 more exotic varieties, or I can just go down to the local big box store and buy 2 replacements without even having to order them out of a catalog. And all of these trees came out of a catalog as bare root. So from Trees of Antiquity, from Gurney's, or from Stark Brothers. See, this one got cut back pretty hard, but it's doing quite well. Seems to be totally resistant to the cedar apple rust, or it bloomed after that. This variety is Empire, which doesn't make me surprised because I believe Empire was bred in SUNY Cortland or somewhere around there. Or maybe it was bred in Geneva, I forget which program. Geneva in New York, to be resistant to local diseases like cedar apple rust. This poor tree was rubbed hard on the bark, and I probably should just sacrifice it, but it wants to live, so I'm going to let it take a shot. It may eventually heal over, but it took some serious rubbing from deer. Well, I lost this one, so I might as well identify what it is. Bramley seedling, an old English apple, which I've never had, but I've heard is delightful. So that was a special ordered tree from Trees of Antiquity. Didn't make it. Somewhere in here, right here, is the twin. I think this one also did not make it. That's unfortunate. 2 Bramley seedlings on G11 or whatever. I don't know if that's the tag for the rootstock or what they are, but they didn't make it. This one's doing okay. It's got some new growth hiding down in there. I gotta finish cutting all these weeds back. I know you can't really see what's going on. It's pretty much the same as this story, where it's got a few little leaves coming out down low. Lost most of the tag on that one. In case you're wondering, this is a legitimate enterprise. I did actually write all this stuff down on a grid so I can figure it out even if I lost all the tags. What do we got here? This was Jonah Gold from Stark Brothers, and that one looks totally dead, as does this one. So I'll have to call up Stark Brothers and tell them they just didn't make it. These were not damaged by deer, they just look like they died. I don't have any rubbing signs on them or anything like that. This little guy is taking some abuse, still wants to live. I like it. I like that can-do attitude of my apple trees. Like, look at this. This is an example of one that is now, this apple tree was probably 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch in diameter, but right now it's only 5 inches tall. It got hit hard. And all I can do, I'm not sniffling because I'm sad about the apple, I'm sniffling again because of the dust. But it wants to come back. It's setting up shoots, so this one's hopefully going to make it. I'm going to cage it right to the ground. Same thing here, we've got some growth. The tree wants to live. You can see I mulched really nicely. The weeds pull right out. I'm just too busy lately to come in and do this. So I suppose I should just do it rather than lose the apples. Yeah, super riveting video for YouTube, right? Oh well. I lost these 2, which are Honeycrisp. Very sad because they just died. They snapped right off at the bottom this spring. They didn't get mowed over. They just literally were dead. I don't know why. They died at the graft over the winter time. So I need to get 2 Honey Crisps, which I can get at the local box stores. You know, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever. You all probably don't want to watch me do this, but I'm right here, so I'm filming it anyway. There we go. Doing okay. I say okay, they're struggling. This one was coming back, but I can't tell. Yeah, it seems like it's alive, but I don't know if that's coming from the rootstock. That's hard to tell. Let's see if I can get a photo of that, or a video of that. I think where that shoot's coming off, right there, I think that's coming off from the graft. And I know this little bud is here, so I think I can cut this one back hard and it might live. This one's doing something kind of similar where it's growing from the, I think from the graft. I'm not sure. I mean, there's parts that are growing for sure from the graft, but the biggest leaves, I don't know if that's just from the rootstock or what. And no tags on either of those, so I'm gonna have to refer back to my notes. Very dry soil, hasn't rained well here. And you can see I gotta come back and weed whack through all these and put up their fences and cages to protect them. And I'm not gonna take you through the stone fruit orchard, but I will maybe in a future video. As you can see, the turkeys right now are roaming through it, destroying everything. So right now it's kind of what I'm doing is taking inventory of what's dead, trying to mow some stuff up and get it back in shape. And then hopefully by, let's see, it's end of May. Hopefully by middle of June, this place will look good again. And I'll take another video when it's a little more manicured than now. It's kind of half disheveled. Anyway, I'll keep you posted. Hopefully there'll be a lot of stuff coming. I'm planning on having a bunch of topsoil brought in to cover up this berm, where you can see all the rock and kind of just the spots that are bare with no grass. I'm gonna have some clean topsoil dropped and spread all over that. Probably some spread all through the center section where, even though it looks green on camera, it's a mix of just weeds. There's no real grass. Most of this is not real grass. It's like super patchy weeds, and it should all be dressed with topsoil and then seeded, but it would cost like $11 billion to have that done for this 10 acres. So we're just gonna have to keep mowing it, and for the part around the house I'll actually seed it with a nice lawn. And then what I do out here, I'll probably put some fertilizer down once I start living here full-time, and then I'll actually overseed it in the spring and in the fall with real grass seed, hoping some of it takes. Yeah, so no shortage of work to do. I gotta fence all these guys, take inventory of the rest of the stuff that's dead, make some orders for some replacements. I've got a few trees from the local nursery that just didn't make it. There were landscape trees they bought last year. I've got 2 jujube trees sitting off in the distance, dead center, so 12 o'clock, kind of off in the distance. They never broke dormancy, so they need to be replaced. And yeah, I was gonna order a bunch of peach trees and some other plum trees that I actually wanted to put in this year, which I just didn't quite get around to ordering last year. And unfortunately, the Department of Environmental Conservation put the kibosh to that because the local nurseries here cannot sell peach or plum trees at all because of something called plum pox, which apparently has infected some parts of New York State. So there's a moratorium from all the local stores on importing that kind of stuff. So limited to what I can plant. Basically, I can probably replace a few of these apples, and that's about it this year. Nobody had anything interesting at the nurseries. They didn't have any of the stuff that I was hoping to expand for the orchard. I'm still looking for some local trees that are kind of more exotic. Maybe I'll do another video about those things that I would like to plant in the future in case anybody's got some of those samples and wants to donate them to the cause. The YouTube spirit, asking for stuff, patrons and all that nonsense. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm gonna just buy the trees. But you can comment if you've grown them in the area or if you have any expertise or know where to get them. So anyway, that's the update. You can see this is pretty much what the place looks like right now. Hopefully it'll look even better in about a week or two. Thanks for watching.